Welcome to Her Movement podcast, the show where we empower women entrepreneurs to build their own movement and create a bigger impact in the world. I'm your host Preeti Singh Rajput, and I'm beyond excited to have you join me on this exhilarating journey. In each episode, we dive deep into the inspiring stories of remarkable women entrepreneurs. We'll explore their successes, their struggles, and the pivotal moments that shaped their journey. This podcast is a platform for real and raw conversations. Sharing our stories is empowering and instrumental in inspiring others to step into their greatness. From overcoming challenges to celebrating triumphs, our guests will take you on a transformative journey through their experiences. Join us as we delve into topics such as building a loyal community, creating your own movement with your own experience, growing your business with impact, and so much more. Our guests are trailblazers in their respective niches, and they are ready to share their wisdom, insights, and actionable tips that you can implement in your own business and life. Whether you are just starting out or looking to take your business to the next level, Her Movement podcast is your go-to resource for inspiration, guidance, and real-world strategies that truly work. So grab a cup of coffee, tune in, and let's embark on this exciting journey together. Get ready to ignite your passion, elevate your mindset, and build your own movement. Hi, Lauren. Welcome to Her Movement podcast, Lauren. I am just super excited. And, I was really looking forward to talk to you, and you know all the reasons why. What movement are you building, Lauren?
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. You know, we have connected online previously and we have a lot to talk about. And when you started Her Movement as a podcast, I thought, okay, we need to get on here and we need to have this conversation. Because I think that in this day and age, there are so many movements that are shifting, but there are some key trends. And so someone like myself, who's a business strategist and a business coach and a mentor, one of the things that I see and the movement that I want to create around the coaching industry is to talk a lot more about the individual advantage that we have as women. Men obviously have it as well, but particularly with my female clients, I see this a lot, that we put our advantage to the side and we talk, a rhetoric of collaboration and doing things together, which I am absolutely a proponent for. But at the same time, we so often as women don't spend the time thinking and building our businesses around our core expertise, our competencies, the uniqueness of how we do things, which creates our own advantage in a space.
Right.
So that's really the movement in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it than that. But it's about understanding our individual unique expertise and how we apply this and how we create impact and change through that because of our values, our beliefs, and everything that we're good at and everything that makes us who we are.
Awesome, awesome. And I know it, before this podcast, we were talking for half an hour, and I know all about your movement. And that's why I was so excited to actually bring you here, because I know what you talk about, and the movement that you're building in your business is something that we really need to talk more and more about. And I understand the strength and power that lies under that, when you talk about creating your individual growth path in your business and having that approach of customizing based on what your particular strength is, which is beautiful. Lauren, just take us a little bit into your journey of how you evolved in your business, in your career, and your story of becoming the amazing human that you
Thank you
are.
so much. Well, that's been quite a journey, to be honest with you. And most people, if you go back and have a look at my CV and where I've come from and what I've done, will think I'm probably schizophrenic. So I have a very, very diverse background, which I do also believe is the source of my strength, particularly in the online business space at the moment. So I was born and raised in South Africa. Let's start there. But I've been living and working in Germany for the past 15 years. My husband is Turkish. We raise our kids in 3 languages. So if we're just starting there, the diversity of being raised in a country like South Africa, the diversity of education experience, the diversity of the industries in which I've worked, and the diversity of people around me has really shaped the way that I have built and conduct my business, this online coaching business, but also obviously my freelance consulting business that I've had for the past 12 years as well. And the key word there, I think you might have noticed, is diversity. So throughout my career, I have made a point of always anchoring a lot of information and a lot of different experiences with my perspective on those things. So it doesn't matter what industry I'm working in. It doesn't matter if I am consulting on strategy for a corporate or if I am, doing that for an individual as a coach. What I am really looking to do is always develop perspective around the things that I've done. So I have a degree in English literature and sports science. I have a classic business education with an MBA. I have a Master of Science in International Cooperation and Development. So I've done quite a lot of development economics. And my PhD, my doctorate was actually in sociology. And so always when this question pops up, people are thinking, okay, well, how on earth do you pull all of these things together? And this is why I start with that word diversity, because context, especially in this day and age, when we're building a business as entrepreneurs, actually anyone, even in your own career, our context is changing and shifting so quickly that if we are stuck in our modalities of thought and we are not allowing our perspective to grow and to change and to evolve with us, you're probably going to have a very short-lived career or a very short-lived business journey, because that process of evolution is so important. And that's what I've put at the center of my career development, my personal development: perspective, diversity of thought, and a wide range of knowledge.
That's awesome. And Lauren, you have two boys, and you have a full-time work, and then you are building business. How do you do it all? I mean, I have a boy, and I do have an existing business, and I have this coaching business, yeah, consulting business, and the coaching business, and I know where you're at, and I really want you to talk about it, because a lot of us, we must be multitasking at this point of time, and we want to know your secret. How do you
I
do
love
it?
this question. It's one of my favorite questions, to be honest. And the straight up answer is yes, you're right. It's a lot, but I don't do it all. I'm very careful, very careful with where I put my energy. I think it's an important thing to admit behind the
Yeah,
scenes that it's not all bunny rabbits and rainbows. It's hard sometimes. I am a
exactly.
professor of international business
Yeah.
management. So, as you said, I do still have that job. But even I get to the stage and I think, well, is this the smartest thing to be doing? When is it? I love education, so that's why I'm still there. And you do sort of get to the point where you think, where is my priority now, and how do I make those decisions? And the one thing that I will always say is that regardless of what happens, my little boys come first. They're 3 and 6 years old, so they need their mom around a lot. And so instead of doing it all, I am very careful where I put my energy. So I have a successful um, career. I have a successful coaching business. But no, I'm not turning over $1 million a month because, well, I'm not putting 80 hours a week into my business either. So I actually work, I think, in comparison to most people in their online businesses, very little. And the reason that I'm able to do that is because as a strategist, I look very carefully at, what points in the business are generating an outcome that I want to have and that are aligned. And this is really the secret, if you will, that are aligned with the life I have now and will allow me to grow into the life that I want to have in 5 years, in 10 years, right? Because my boys are not going to be little forever. I'm not going to be at the university forever. Hey, I mean, maybe I won't be a business coach forever. Who knows? This is a journey of exploring and contributing and creating legacy for myself, for my family, for the people that I work with. That's really, if you will, the secret, yeah, to
Right.
that is not doing it all.
Yeah, yeah, and I so relate with you, because even I take everything, like nothing is perfect. I might not be a perfect mother, I might not be a perfect businesswoman. I don't know. I'm just trying to do my level best, and everything comes with, like, what's the priority
Correct.
today? So if my son is sick and he is home, so obviously he is the priority. It's so unpredictable with us women, with the family that we have to raise. Nothing is perfect. It's going to be chaotic most of the time, and just making the best decision on that particular day in the chaos that we are living in. And it's so beautiful the way you stay energetic, you serve your tribe to the best of your capability. I have seen it. I'm part of your tribe, and I feel so blissful when I'm there and you're serving them, and with so much of presence into your teachings and whatever you do. It's so beautiful to see you that way. And there is one more thing that you talk about a lot, Lauren, is courage. So would you like to describe that in terms of us being, women taking care of the family, trying to build a really strong business for ourselves and going through all of this hustle and still at times not being confident enough?
Yeah. Well, confidence, I think, comes with
Yeah.
this is one of the topics you kind of don't even know where to start, where to begin, where to end, because for me the courage to do these things and the confidence that you need to get up every day and make those decisions, because literally the only certainty we have is that we don't know what's going to happen, so it's uncertainty is literally our only certainty.
Right.
And so getting up in that environment, which is not just us as mothers and having jobs and building businesses, this is the status quo of our world right now. And so confidence building in that arena means for me redefining and rebuilding my confidence almost every day. And when I started out, I kind of expected that because I was very confident in my academic career and in my consulting career, that it would be the same. It would be easy for me as a coach. And I think that this is also something very important to unpack. I was shocked when I entered this space how little confidence I had, how much influence a lot of the noise out there in the industry had over me and had over how I was showing up. And I had a kind of a minor identity crisis during that phase because of all the messaging out there. You should be doing things like this. You have to be doing things like that. And when I stepped back from that, I had quite a few rough months. I'm not going to lie. When I stepped back from that and kind of looked at everything that was going on, I realized I needed to come back to my anchor point. And this was why I talk so much about us, particularly as women, understanding our advantage and where we come from. Because when I break everything down and take
Yeah.
all the messaging, all the marketing, all the sales numbers away, my confidence comes from understanding my perspective on what I believe in my business, in my expertise. So I have strong perspectives on education, on inclusion, on feminine and masculine energy. I have developed a competitive advantage using my not only expertise and my skills and my education, of course, but very much linking that to the values and the beliefs that I have in how I apply that expertise for me and for my business. And the confidence is literally found in that process of creating your own competitive advantage, because that's how you position yourself in a market. And then it stops bothering you really what everyone else is saying, because you find the people that you want to then collaborate with. And those are not only people, I want to be clear, those are not only
Right.
people who agree with me. I collaborate with amazing people who disagree with me,
Yeah.
because I think another point I'm going to add on to this confidence discussion, we could go on for a long time, but the second most important thing is confidence also comes from allowing yourself to have conversations with people who don't necessarily agree with you. There is so much enrichment in that. And we don't allow ourselves that. I find that it's particularly in the online space, it's everyone has to agree or we have to hate. And this polarity is one of the things I think that breaks confidence down for so many people in this environment. And people disagree with me all the time. But then I think to myself, that's okay. There's a block button, they can do that too. But for me, I will not stop creating some tough conversations. I make statements that people are like, whoa, you can't say that. I'm like, why not? Let's talk about it. If you think it's wrong, disagree, that's fine. But tell me why, because this is how we create diversity. This is how we develop our perspective. And that for me is a massive source of confidence. but you need courage. And that was the second word you mentioned. You need courage to get up and to make that
Yeah.
statement. Yeah.
Right, right. And I totally relate to you because I've been there,
We've
questioning
all been.
certain things in coaching industry. Yeah. And then I realized that it's more about it's not about the coaching industry. It's all about me being courageous enough to accept that I want things in certain way in my business and then finding my way through that, you know? And I also wanted to know from you, Lauren, how do you help your clients understand that competitive edge that you often talk about in your
Yeah.
program?
Well, that's something that I think is another thing that people have a misunderstanding of in terms of building a business. When we talk about strategy, most people are referring to operational strategy. So, how do I develop a purpose for my business? How do I develop my positioning? How do I find my people, lead generation, sales strategies, etc. Now, of course, every single business has to understand the operational strategies, but the level of actual business strategy is above that. It's kind of like, if you understand it as the umbrella, covering the operations, and that is how you think about your business. And if you're strategizing in how I think about my business and you want to create a competitive advantage for yourself, you have to create that operational strategy in a way that serves your particular way of doing things. So that's what I mean when I also say customization. It's not about reinventing the wheel, but it's about understanding that not every operational system is going to give the same results or resonate with who you are as a person. So some people are extroverted, some people are introverted, some people want to spend a lot of time one-on-one coaching and on sales calls. Other people really don't want to be doing those kinds of things. And so that competitive advantage has different levels. And the first level that I work with my clients to uncover this, because this is a process of really getting to know yourself at the different levels that we have.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
first is obviously the excellence of our expertise. Now, I find that when I talk to a lot of women, they will maybe be educated as a lawyer, and they'll say, my expertise is I'm a lawyer, right? And they're not seeing all of the other elements that come into expertise, which I define as your knowledge, so your education and your experience. And again, I'm not talking about formal education, any knowledge base that you have, any experience that you have gained, even being a mom gives a huge amount of experience. I've worked with a wonderful woman who was in the military previously. Her strategic mind, because she had that military experience, is phenomenal. And she doesn't see that as part of her advantage, and how you can use that to make sure that when you translate that into an offer, or what I call value excellence, a product that brings impact and legacy to the market, how you use that expertise and begin to talk about it positions you away from the noise, away from what everybody else is saying, because we have this tendency to kind of just go with the flow and do things the way everyone else is doing them. And so there's a lot more nuance to it. We go into different levels of adaptive excellence, and then we go into collaborative excellence as well. And so those four levels of excellence that you're developing consciously as you build your business strategy, so that you can refine your operational strategy, is basically the core of what creates your competitive advantage. So I think a lot of people confuse competitive advantage in the way that I speak about it with USP, this unique selling proposition. Now, that's obviously also part of it, but real competitive advantage is more than just having something small that's unique about the way in which you do it, which unfortunately in this industry has been reduced to giving something a sexy name, right? So we see the same systems and the
Yeah.
same processes.
Same organic marketing called in so many different
Correct.
ways.
So
Yeah.
I help my clients really move out of that space. Obviously, they need to first understand what it takes to build an online business. We do that as well. Of course, we do the operations. But when you want to get to another level where you feel ease and you feel flow in your business, that only happens when you are deeply connected and resonating with your own messaging. And so people, again, they reduce the messaging to the marketing strategy. And all of these elements come back to who we are. And this is the difference from being offline or from bringing corporate. Many of my clients come from corporate. You don't any longer have a corporate name or a logo to kind of hide behind. You have to now stand up there with your perspectives and your beliefs, and that's why it is all about your advantage. And so uncovering that is a journey of self-exploration.
Yeah, till you fully embody yourself, it's going to show up in your business. Yeah, and it's so different. When you say competitive advantage, it's so easy for everyone to kind of misunderstand it, and so that's why I wanted you to elaborate on this so that people understand that this competitive advantage that you talk about is more around who we are as individuals, and kind of. Respecting the experience that we have and using that experience to kind of help other people evolve in their businesses and wherever they are.
Exactly. And I mean, it even goes a step further than that, because if you think about, competitive advantage as these different levels of excellence, people think, well, I want to collaborate. I don't want to be in competition. But that's also not what it's about either, because like I said, the four levels of creating competitive advantage, your competitive advantage gives you the advantage in your business to free yourself from having to do things the way other people tell you should be doing them. That's essentially what it's about. And part of that, in the fourth quadrant of my advantage quadrant, is collective and collaborative excellence, understanding who it is we want to be associating with and working with. Because I have unfortunately also seen in the business environment, partnerships and collaborations are amazing, but they don't work around 85-90% of the time, because when the individuals don't come in and understand their competitive advantage in their space, it makes that collective work and that collaboration or partnership exceptionally difficult most of the time. And so those are not easy things to navigate. And I've always found that when you put yourself, as you said, at the center of the core of everything, and you know your advantage first, you can leverage that advantage to create more for the collective. And that's, for me, is what impact and what
Right.
legacy is about.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that, because when I understand who I am and what I can truly bring, on the table, and I want to collaborate with you, for example, and you understand yourself well too, then the collaboration is stronger, right? So even the partnerships and collaborations can go a long way when we both, understand each other on a deeper level, and what we can bring on the
Absolutely.
table, right? And then creating a really nice collaboration that uplifts both of us.
Exactly. And if we go back to connecting this to the movement, I'm a firm believer. We have purpose and we want to create impact and legacy, and all of us are talking about creating these movements. But it's like putting on, to give you a very simple
Yeah,
cliche, it's like putting on the oxygen mask first in the airplane, right? If I don't know my competitive advantage, if I don't
yeah,
know who I am and don't know what makes me unique in my expertise, how am I going to contribute in the most effective manner to the things that are going on there out around me? Usually,
right.
what happens if I don't have that, I'm simply assimilating. So there's no integration, there's no exchange of excellence, of expertise, of impact. It becomes an assimilation of one person into the system of the other person. And this is usually where disappointment happens, in the partnership and in the collaborative arena. Absolutely.
In fact, this, Lauren, whatever you're talking about right now, this whole podcast actually comes
Yeah.
from that place. When I saw that everyone in the coaching industry is just conforming, and the reason they're conforming is because there is no education around this. Nobody really knows what they stand for. Nobody really knows and understands, and they're not able to kind of sometimes gather that courage to follow their calling and create their
Exactly.
movement. So when I decided to focus on that part, and I decided that everyone should have a platform where they can truly talk about their purpose, their mission, and their movement, is when I decided to come up with this podcast, because we all have an opinion, we all have a mission when we are building our business. and we don't really know how to articulate that sometimes, and and reach to more and more people with my own mission. And when I talk to you, and we often talk about all these things, is I understood that Lauren has something that's so potent and that's so important actually for us to be talking now, because coaching industry is growing and we have great future, but with great opportunity comes great responsibility, and along with that, with great opportunity also comes a lot of risks and chances for us to kind of get lost in the whole chaos and the noise around. If we start talking about these things, there are chances that we can understand and save ourselves and make this industry a better place for all of us.
Absolutely. And I think, one of the big issues here, I think, is that coaching, with the rise of the internet, there's a lot of positivity around that as well. But one of the key challenges that this industry faces is that coaching has, in many instances, been reduced to step-by-step processes. So a coach will come and say, I'm going to show you
Yeah.
how to set up your organic marketing funnel. Now, of course, I do that with my own clients. Any business coach has to be able to implement step-by-step systems and processes that make a business work. But the part that is missing, and for me, what really coaching as a business coach and the strategist are about, is about helping people and guiding them to discover and uncover and evolve their way of thinking. Any consultant service provider doesn't have to be someone in business, but the coaching industry has reduced itself, unfortunately, for many people who are looking just to make a quick buck or think it's going to be an easy journey. It is not. That they can just sort of sell step-by-step guides, and it's so much more than that. And so when we talk about this as well quite a lot, when
Yeah.
people are looking to hire a coach, make sure that you're hiring the right kind of a coach at the right kind of a time, depending on where you are in your business. We all need coaches. No one can read
Right.
the label from inside the bottle. We all have our blind spots. I have my own business coach and strategist as well, supporting me, because even if I'm saying things to my clients and I know this stuff, it doesn't mean you can get it right in your own business, because that's human nature. We're so embedded and embroiled in that. But purchasing coaching on the basis of a step-by-step, one-size-fits-all systematic, that's usually going to lead to disappointment as well. I think this is unfortunately one of the things in this industry that isn't being spoken about enough. What is our job? And this is,
Yeah.
for me, very much attached to my movement, because I believe that if you can understand and create your competitive advantage as a coach, as a consultant, you are going to relay that impact to your clients as well. So one of the things that is a central part of my movement is I want to see my clients getting results. Of course I do. But one of the best things is to see my clients' clients getting results, because that's when I know that my client has evolved and stepped into their ability to coach and to consult that has a knock-on impact. And this is legacy.
Right, right. And Lauren, there is one more thing that I see, most of the people who want to, get into coaching, they mostly suffer is sometimes we end up buying programs and associate ourselves with coaches based on what results they are getting and what results their clients are getting. So there is this impulse purchase, what I say, and I always talk about, and even in my master classes and places like that, I always talk about take your time in deciding whether you want me as your coach or not, because you aren't buying a shade of lipstick. It's not a purse that we are buying, and it's okay to impulse purchase a purse,
Yeah.
right? For us women, but it's never okay to go with the stripe screenshots and people claiming these many $1,000 my this client made. And it's very important to show this for the social proof, but make your decision based on the kind of coach that you want to work with, and whether wherever you're at, you are choosing on the basis of that, just as you mentioned. So would you like to talk about that as well a little bit, when it comes to going for a coach instead of impulse purchase, and get motivated seeing other people getting results and having another
Yeah,
approach to it?
absolutely. I mean, I think this is marketing, right? And let's be honest, in the online world, I can tell you whatever I want to tell you. And so doing your own
Yeah.
research is a very, very important part of understanding where am I at in my business? And to be very honest, what is the purpose of my business? Am I building a business for impact? Am I building a business for sustainability? Or am I just trying to make, sort of have a side hustle and make a quick buck online? Absolutely
Yeah.
legitimate. But it starts again with understanding what kind of a business am I trying to build, and therefore trying to figure out what kind of help do I need to do that. Now, obviously, we all want to have, 10, 20, $50,000 falling into our pocket every month, but this is not the reality of it. And the first thing I will say is look very carefully when you are assessing that kind of a marketing strategy. Who were the clients before they entered that program? Because what you will normally find is someone who had 100K a month was already making $50,000 or $60,000 a month. So that is an incredible jump, but we are
Exactly.
not talking 0 to 100K in 90 days. I mean, these kinds of things are just, I'm sorry, but absolute marketing nonsense, right? So that's number one. Make sure you understand who those people are who are getting the results. The second thing is look at where you are. And if you are, for example, not yet making much money, maybe a couple $1,000s, or maybe you're just starting out, I see a tendency in this industry for people to go and hire a specialist coach. So they go and they hire a specialist lead generation person or someone for marketing. You still have not laid the foundations of your business. So you might be an amazing coach in whatever it is that you do, but that does not automatically translate into knowing and understanding the ins and outs of all of those operational levels that it takes to build an online business. And I think this is where there's another misconception from online versus offline. I don't know anyone who would go offline and start a business without a business plan and carefully thinking through what they want to do and going to the bank and taking a loan and getting financing. But for whatever reason, when we come online, we say, oh, it's okay. I'm just going to take $10,000, give it to someone, and I'm going to make 10K in 10 days.
Yeah.
Like, this just doesn't work, right? So there is very little difference in
No.
understanding how a business runs and works offline versus online, because it's how we think about the business practice and process of client acquisition, because that's what we're doing, right? So how do we connect with people? How do we have conversations with people? How do we get on calls with people? How do we run a sales call? How do we generate leads? All these kinds of things fit together in a way. But first you have to understand that. You have to have all of those foundational pieces in place. So that's the second piece of advice. Do not hire an expert when you are at the beginning. You don't need a marketing
Yeah.
coach if you don't know yet who you are and what you want to actually do.
You're
Exactly,
offering.
correct. So there's a
Yeah.
journey of self-exploration that a lot of people need to go through before they can do that. So find a generalist business coach, someone who is in business strategy and business coaching that can give you the solid foundations that you need first. And then you can move on to saying, okay, now I'm earning $8,000, $10,000, $12,000. Now maybe it's time for me to hire a marketing specialist who can help me refine my messaging, who can help me translate that
Yeah.
messaging into a way that my client better understands it. But to be very honest, if you can't make $8,000 or $10,000 in a month from a couple of clients, you don't have a business yet. People use that $100,000 as, oh, 100K, yay. But if we actually break that amount of money down, it's only an indicator of the fact that you have a validated offer and that you have business foundations in place that you can start to grow. And I'm not using the word scale because we're not there yet, to grow your business. $100,000
Yeah.
in most countries is
Right.
what people need to start having enough financial flexibility to invest in their business and to really start growing it. And I think that's another misconception in this space. So when you're hiring a coach and you're on your way to 100K, we need to be focusing less on what is the $100,000 about. And for example, I say on your way to 100K, and my emphasis is on the your. Because the biggest thing when you're starting a business is to figure out, how am I going to do this for my life right now? And how do I create that structure that doesn't mean I burn out or spend 100 hours on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever platform you're using every day, right? And so these are the kinds of things that you need to be very honest with yourself about when you're starting a business. And I think that's where a few things fall down. People we're not honest with ourselves. We see the 100K and we think, oh, I can do that,
Yeah.
and we need to put that realism in. So I would say have conversations with people, talk to people about their experience.
Yeah.
Very often as well, hiring the superstar coach that you see who's 500 steps ahead of you is probably not for you right now. Hire that coach when you've made your first few $100,000. When you're in the beginning, hire the person
Yeah.
who's a few steps ahead of you. Hire the person who is, still understands and still remembers what it was like maybe to have a 9 to 5, or hire the mom who knows what it's like to have 2 kids and build the business, because that is going to give you a lot more
Right.
of the insights and the contextual nuances and specificity that you need, that will actually help you a lot more. Exactly. And that's going to help you a lot more than many of the technical elements, because like I said, almost any business coach can give you the
Yeah.
technicalities, or at least they should be able to. And so that's how I would see it. It's not an easy thing to do, but I would say to anyone listening, start with honesty, know where you are. Try, it's human nature, but try to avoid the shiny objects, and the get rich quick. I don't know anyone successful long term who got rich quick. They put hard work, and they did the work to lay the foundations. The foundations of your business in the first year are absolutely essential.
Yeah. And everyone's results are going to differ based on where they are at in
Exactly.
their journey. And, when I designed my coaching program, because I only deal with women who want to start their coaching businesses, it's not about the experts and all of that. So I designed my container based on that, because it's not long enough. I was there when I was trying to start my coaching business. So I understand that it takes around 6 months time for someone to kind of, somebody who's a complete beginner to kind of understand and, develop that mindset of being an entrepreneur. And so that's why I don't make such claims, because, it's just sometimes isn't possible in some scenarios. And there would be people who have certain experience, maybe a few months of being in that place and understanding the industry, and they have developed that kind of mindset, so they can probably, they can very well make that kind of money in the beginning. And then the other package that I have, it's a 12-month container, because a complete beginner, they need 3 to 4 months time to kind of understand what entrepreneurship is all about, and then get into tools and systems and getting the clarity. So it does take time. So anyone with that urge from inside of buying coaching programs based on that impulse, reaction, that someone is getting the results, so it's more like understanding where you are at, and then understanding what you require at this point of time, and then make the decision. Am I
Absolutely.
right,
And I
Lauren?
think another thing is, unfortunately, in this industry, we see these, oh, you can do this in 60 days or 90 days, and here's my 8 week program. Of course. I mean, I also have 12
Yeah.
week containers and 6 month containers. That's normal. But what actually is the most valuable in my experience is most of my one on one clients, they stay with me, because coaching.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for a
It's
longer
not just
time.
about the 1 12 week container. We always set the goals for what it is we're doing,
Right.
but we're working together in that time frame, not because we're not thinking about the future. This is not an isolated way of working. We're always looking 5 steps ahead, but we're focused on the next logical step for tomorrow. And the coaching consultant client relationship is one that has to be, based and developed on trust. You have to be able to speak with someone. So this is another thing to look for. You're probably not going to get much FaceTime with the person who's earning $1 million a month, because you're in probably their generic group program. So maybe it's better for you to go with a different coach
Right.
where you get, a lot more personal interaction and personal touch, because at the beginning of your journey, that can save a
Right.
lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of frustration. Yeah, absolutely. So I couldn't agree with you more on that point.
Right. And what do you say about, when we are starting up, in this whole journey, and we don't have the confidence, neither do we understand what our strengths are that we can turn into a coaching program. How do you help your clients with that in the beginning?
Well, in the beginning, we basically first, I have different levels. So I have a lot of sort of self study
Hmm.
course material which is just the education. So I design all of my containers on the basis of 3 I's. Every person who comes to me, I need to understand what is their current level of information. How much knowledge do they have about all of the elements that it takes to set up a business? So lead generation, sales, marketing, what is their background? Do they come from corporate? Do they have, business education or business experience? This is highly, highly individual. So all of my clients get access to the information that everybody needs, right? They don't have to consume it from A to Z. They
Okay.
consume it in any way that they need, but it's all there because it's information based. The next thing is we have to look at is implementation, which is always the second level of creating a transformative coaching program or container. There are frameworks for implementation, there are systems, there are processes. And within that, when someone is starting out, we don't implement anything until I can understand where they are in terms of their ability to start. So what do they have in the amount of time that they want to dedicate to this business? Are they still
Yeah.
financing starting this up with their 9 to 5? Do they have, do these women have children? How much do they want to be working 10 hours a day? Or, because the strategies, the operations that you put together have to be aligned with those values of the lifestyle that you want to have. And so that's where we start. And that is the time point at which implementation actually then begins. Then we implement on the basis of what those requirements, what their contextual requirements are for their lifestyle at the moment. The third thing, which is the third I, is inspiration. So throughout this process, it's fine to have information. It's fine to get the implementation advice and guidance that you need. But all of us are human. All of us drop down. All of us have imposter syndrome. All of us feel, just bad on some days. And so within the container, it's very important for me to keep my pulse on the inspirational, the motivational, and the mindset elements that any of my clients would need at that time. And to be honest, that's sometimes just an extra coaching call to break things apart and let them get it out, and then start again and say, okay, where is our source of confidence? Where is this coming from? And go back to the basics. It's very often the basics that people
Right.
underestimate a huge amount. So it's the combination of those 3 elements that, regardless if a client comes to me who's already earning 6 figures or someone who comes and is just starting out with their business, that's the process that we have to put in place.
That's amazing. And Lauren, from my audience, whosoever wants to work with you, where can they find you and about your program?
Of course. They can find me. I am very present on Facebook. I've got a great group for elevated coaches. You can connect with me. They can connect with me on LinkedIn as well, Dr. Lauren Uğur. So just do a search for me. You'll find me very, very easily. My programs, basically, I have a group program at the moment, Prosper Online. This is for people who need a lot more of the foundational elements and information in their business. And then they can come on to small group coaching sessions, around 4 to 5 people per session. They come into those sessions and get the targeted implementation help that they need. And of course, we have a community taking care of, the inspiration part. We build each other up. It's a collective. It's not a huge group either.
Yeah.
So it's very important to me to keep that very intimate and very small. And then, of course, I have my one-on-one Prosper Online Advantage container. This is where we deep dive into it. It's for those people who already know, this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I want to commit to. And then we dig deep into developing and creating the competitive advantage and the customized business strategy that is going to get them where they need to be. And whatever that goal is, we set that together and we work towards it, because everyone should be setting their own goals with their coach. So I would love to tell you, we're going to get you to 100K. If that's your goal, that's where we're going to get you. But we're going to talk realistically about how and why and what you need to get there. So everyone is absolutely welcome to connect with me at any point in time. And for me, as I've said, the coaching relationship is something that is very intimate. So it's important, to just get in touch and let's talk about it. And if I'm there and I can help you, I'm happy to do so. And if not, I'm also very, very happy to show you the kind of help and refer you to someone who can give you the kind of support that you need.
Right. Right, exactly. And your information will also be available, Lauren, in the description of this podcast. So anyone who is watching can just look out for Lauren in the description, and all the details and how to get in touch with her is available in the description. So it's very easy to just go and, find her and start working with her if that's what you're looking for, and that's what, if you connected to what she has to say and what she stands for and what value she can provide, of course. And thank you so much, Lauren, for all of the things that you shared here on this podcast. I understand the value of us talking about these matters often now as this coaching industry is growing. So it was very important for me to ask you questions, and I know these questions are tough questions for any
Yeah.
coach to answer. It isn't easy. It takes courage to kind of start talking about something. But, the one thing that is common between both of us is that we don't really look at coaching industry as a quick make money sort of industry. I don't know, it's confused with make money online industry. The coaching is
Correct.
completely different, and we feel that it has huge potential, and we as coaches who are building the foundation, we have the responsibility to build it into an industry, into a place where people feel safe to opt
Right.
for coaching programs. So we do need to really talk about it when we are building it. These are like initial years of coaching industry, and as coaches, it is our responsibility to be talking about something that isn't working and that probably is leading people in a different direction, and educating people to kind of step up a notch, understand themselves, and then go for it. This is the most beautiful thing. I so love it, the whole concept of coaching, because it's way ahead of our times, like when we used to go to the universities and schools and things like that. So generalized education we used to get, and mentorship we used to get. And this is such a beautiful opportunity. Coaches actually help you up level your game in so many ways. It isn't just giving you the information. It's more about uplifting you from where you are to where you actually want to reach in your life. And there's just so much good in here. And just like any other industry, this might will have certain aspects, and if we don't talk about it enough, we won't be able to stop it from happening. So I'm so grateful that you accepted my invitation and you came here and you actually showed the courage to talk about all these things that we do talk often, but not in front of the camera.
You're welcome. And Preeti, thank you so much for providing this platform actually, because everything you've said that's absolutely true.
Thank you.
It's a journey. This industry holds so much potential. And I think that it's just up to us to say, what is coaching about? How do we contribute? And I come from formal education, so I can say as well, there's a reason I'm coaching individuals, because it's just not what's
Yeah.
happening in the frameworks of the formal education environment. And it's not to say that it's bad, but it's not keeping up with
Right.
with the context. And this is the power of coaching and the power of this industry. And just as you, I believe in that absolutely deeply. And it's not just about the money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not about that. And in a way, we are actually transforming the world of
Exactly.
education as
Correct.
coaches. And there is huge opportunity, and as I always say, with opportunity comes the responsibility, and we need to be responsible as coaches and create an environment, whether we are marketing, whether we are coaching, whether we are preparing for our containers. All the time throughout this whole process, we have to be responsible to lead people in right direction and fulfill what expectations they
Exactly.
come up with. I'm
Exactly.
so happy that you spoke about all of that with me, and I'm so looking forward to collaborate with you and see what impact we can
Thank
create
you, Preeti.
together.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm sure we'll be chatting again very, very soon.